see that. All right. Welcome, everybody, to Wisdom Wednesday. It's been a little while since I've done this. Life has been a bit busy and such. And I'm happy to come back on. And I was excited to talk with my good friend and spiritual coach and tarot reader, Angela, who was ready to do a conversation with me. And I think it's kind of fitting, given all the energies today, that we come on and do a talk and give people some hope. So I'm excited for you to join us today. And so, yeah, I'm gonna give you the floor. If you could want to just go ahead and introduce yourself, tell people a little bit about your background and anything you want to share about like astrology and spirituality, anything like about your journey, so people can get to know you a little bit better.
Thanks, Nellie. Hi, everyone. I don't even know where to start. My name's Angela. I am a nurse by trade. A long time ago back in college, I started with my friends and my roommates reading cards for fun. And this is dating myself, but we would sit at Arabica and read cards for donations. And then life took over. I, graduated for college. I'm a nurse by trade, turned nursing administrator. But I am in the unique situation where I am a single mom of 3 amazing kids, ranging from 21 to 9. Don't ask how that age gap happened, but it did.
I have
and just, a lot of things transpired between point A and point B, healing and realization, leaving a not great situation in my life, refinding myself, and then being drawn back into spirituality and, tarot. And I'm in the process of relearning astrology, which is what drew me to Nellie, just randomly scrolling Facebook one day, found her page, and then connected, just had that drawing to be like, let's have this stranger do a reading for me, which is literally how it happened. And
I don't even remember anymore. It's been a really long time, and we don't live that far away from each other, which is the funny thing, because a lot of times I connect with people all across the country or different parts of the world, and we're probably 15-20 minutes away from each other. So it's kind of funny how we found each other, and we get to actually hang out and see each other in person, which you can't always do in this world. So it's nice. So yeah, I'm glad we did a reading. I didn't know that you had done tarot cards back in college. So that's cool. I only started 2 years ago, so I'm still probably a newbie. But I feel like I've been immersed in it, but still it's only been a little over 2 years. So that's cool that you're finding it again and, getting it more into your world and into your new side hustle. So that's exciting.
But yeah, so in my journey back into it, I finally, got the courage to kind of come out of my shell and start reading again for people. So, I talked to Nellie, and I have a couple of other mentors in, I have a great friend named Amy, who is one of those, like Nellie mentioned, I've never met, but she's like a sister to me. She lives in Pennsylvania. She was my first mentor, reader. And everyone's like, go for it. So I started a couple months back, throwing myself out on gig salad to book some reading gigs, and just found that I really like it. And got some very positive feedback. So really excited to get this back into my life. But Nellie, when Nellie said, hey, can I use you as a guinea pig for a chart reading? Absolutely. I'm good to go with anything.
I know we're going to do, we in our coaching, we've shared your chart, right? We've looked at different parts of your chart. And I realized when I do the Wisdom Wednesday, I don't think I've ever talked about anybody's chart before, not with throwing it up on the screen. So I thought that would be kind of neat, because it has you learn a couple different things and seeing what you're at. And also it lets me share with people what happens when you get an astrology reading. I may have done it once before. I just, it's maybe once out of all the different podcasts I've done. I haven't done enough with that. And I think it's good for people to see that there is a lot of merit to astrology, and things just make sense. And I don't want any of this to be like political or any of that, but I do follow some different astrologers, and they were taking a look at the charts of the those who are running for president and vice president, and they were talking about like what their rising sign was and the different transits they had and what their chart was going to look like on election day. And I thought that was super fascinating. Like I listened to a talk last week for like literally she talked for almost 2.5 hours, and she analyzed all these different factors, and I was like, wow, that's really cool. Like, this Pluto square is going to hit this thing. And I learned so much just from listening to her talk about like, what are all these things going to be? And I was like, that's really cool. I'm like, I need to do something like that, which I think was my idea behind it, was trying to like talk more about, okay, what are the different aspects? Like, what is somebody facing like in real time? So yes, there's your natal chart, and we can say, okay, well, Angela is double Cancer. So there's a lot of that nurturing energy. Like that's a part of you, but also with the transits happening like in real time. And we're going to take a look at your chart, for today, and see like, what is it showing us? And we're talking about career too, because I know you've been trying to like do more things with your career, and also like the way your chart is set up, like you're driven for career anyway. So it's like I thought that'd be interesting for people right now, because I know a lot of people are concerned about the economy. I too am a single mom and always trying to think about what else can I do to make additional money, because prices are up, life is expensive, and money literally does not fall from the heavens, even though I wish it did. So it's kind of like we can manifest and manifest, but like you actually have to take action and do something. It's nice to write something like 18 times a day and I do it, but like what action am I taking? So I think it's nice to be able to see something on your chart and say, okay, Angela, this is what's going on for you. This is like the houses, and like maybe there could be a challenge that you have, but like that's your story that you share with your clients, and maybe aside from like just the tarot, maybe there'll be like more spiritual mentorship that you do for people, and maybe you start teaching people tarot, all these different branches that'll come up for you. So my question for you is, I want us to be able to do some cards and like have people see like cards in action, and I also want to share your chart, and it doesn't matter to me the order. So I was going to ask you what you wanted to do first, because I want to make sure we do both.
Let's start. I have, Nellie's familiar with this deck. I do have, it's an oracle deck. It's kind of like a goddess oracle deck. And I just kind of feel like, today's overall mood in the world, regardless of where you landed today, an oracle goddess is kind of what we need right now. So I'm going to pull one of these really quick for the collective, see where we land.
I think that's a good idea. And I think the energies are kind of heavy. And regardless which side you're on, like half the country's happy and the other half is not, no matter which way it was going to go. So I feel like, especially when you're like us and you're empathic, like you can feel negativity. I didn't get negativity exactly directed at me, but I'm seeing negative stuff out there, whether it's like on the news, TikTok, stuff on Facebook. And people just I know and I sense, and I'm just like, what, I don't need to like internalize that. How can I spread positivity? What can I do to like offer like some hope? And I feel like sometimes we need like a card, or like a meditation or something. So I try to share different things in the groups, just to spread that. And I know, what, you can't make everybody happy, and people have to deal with it, and that's what it is. So yeah, I feel like definitely some cards of wisdom will help.
So funny, as you're talking, I pulled, I'll show it, but I'll text it to Nellie too, so she can share it out. It's Maya. I don't know, it's hard to show. It's the universal birth, the universal midwife. I birth fruitful and sacred assignments. I think that's kind of what we're looking at right now. Like, we're on the cusp of change, and it's time for us to like make our own way and carve our new beginning. Literally, we're entering into a new era in which feminine ascends and comes into balance with the masculine. And I think that's something we've been kind of waiting for a while. Connect to the nurturing energy of Maya. And weave together the euphoric unison of the blessed and beginning of a mission. So I think, something's coming for us. It's the beginning of something. And
right. I mean, it makes,
go ahead, Nelly.
yeah, I think very like, because they say it's like the age of Aquarius, right? And Pluto is about to leave Capricorn. Like November 19th is like that date where Pluto is going to switch into Aquarius. And I don't know that it's going to make everybody's life easier per se, but it's definitely going to be different. And Aquarius, we know, has a lot of like this like energy to like serve the collective and all this like air energy, all these ideas and innovation and creativity. And I feel like, and hopefully AI doesn't go a crazy way for us, but I feel like it just gives us like hope and something else. Capricorn are like, it's like a tough energy. It's like very ambitious, but it's like all these like structures and political things. And I feel like it's kind of like with Pluto there, stuff is crashing down. We're in the 29th degree. So I feel like it's intensive. It's Scorpio season 2 on top of all of it. And it's a time of transformation. So I think this card is hopeful because it's like new beginnings. And like we're doing different things. Like I'm doing more with the hypnotherapy. Like I'm getting immersed in that world in my coaching. And that's like totally new as of a couple months ago. So, and you're, revisiting everything with doing these readings. So yeah, I feel like in the day and age, like we can't just stay doing the same thing or just do one thing. Like we have to do lots of different things, whatever we're passionate about. Right. So let's hope. Do you want me to pull a card too?
Yeah, go ahead. And then we'll dive into my chart. I don't want to say too much about like my career path, like in my main job until you get into my chart, because I kind of want to like relate it and see how it fits.
Okay.
Because it's very hectic right now. So that's why I think it's part of the reason why I'm like, do it. It's exciting.
I think just like people's energies right now is tough. So it's like when you're working in an organization and so many different people, like the eclipse energies, people are amped up, whatever it happens to be. I feel like this is just such a crazy time, this 2024. So things are just getting stirred up. And I think, yeah, we definitely feel it at work because that's where we are all the time. Okay. Ooh, Michael, my favorite. I have the Archangel deck, which was actually... so my second tarot deck I got a couple years ago, and I didn't know that much about the angels at the time, but somehow I started doing some master classes and I got drawn to it. So I know it doesn't come up as well. So Michael does tend to come up for me, and I've been like running this candle all day, burning this candle all day as a protective thing. Even though I feel fine, I feel like just having it up all day because of all the energies that are out there, I felt like that was the needed candle. So this card says, so this is like the swords suit in this particular deck. And 9 of Swords is like kind of a tough energy. It's like sleepless nights, which is like my everyday reality. And I had that last night as well. So it says,
I was going to say, we just talked about that, Nelly, like 2 minutes ago.
I know. My dream catchers don't catch all the bad dreams, unfortunately. It says, your worry is unnecessary. Focus your thoughts on the outcome you desire. Release feelings of regret, guilt, or worry to your angels. Oh my God, could that be any more fitting with the energies like right now? Because people are feeling different things because we have no control, right? We're in a time of uncertainty. Whatever side you're on, whatever you're feeling, the changing hands of power to a different person, it's always uncertain. So, and yeah, I think sometimes we do feel that guilt, right? And we're worrying because we don't know what something is, but worrying doesn't do us any good. But this is, I think, just giving us the reassurance that everything is going to be okay. Your worry is unnecessary. So I'll take it. I'll take it. So yeah, I think like
when I read that card, Nelly, I use the analogy of, and I know we've all done it. Like when you think someone is like one of your kids, like you're convinced they're going to do something and you're ready to yell at them because you know you're going to do it and then they don't do it. That's the 9 of Swords. Like you're getting ready because you think someone's going to do something horrible and then they don't.
Right. It's the anticipation, right? It's the worry and the anticipation and the fear of things than the thing itself. Like, I feel like it's like, I listen to these gurus and they say, detach from outcome, just detach, like just be an observer, which is like this Aquarius energy. I think if we kind of embody the Aquarius energy more, life would be a bit easier. Because then, like, we're both really heart-centered. We both have that Cancer, and that's really, really hard because you it's like this nurturing, this intuition, this emotion, And so, yeah, it can cause for sleepless nights. And I think a lot of people are in that point of worrying. Okay,
Mhm.
I'm going to pull up your chart. So hopefully everybody can see it. So we're a little bit small on the screen. And so here's what I want to like preface. I know, Angela, you've seen your chart before, and we've talked about your chart before.
Mhm.
And it's not like a one shot, like one time deal. There is a lot to analyze in a chart, and it can be overwhelming. I've done sessions for people like for 30 minutes, let's say. I'm going to tell you the takeaways you need to know. And it's like a start. It like scratches the surface, but like it doesn't tell you everything. And there's a lot of different things to like look at. So we are going to take a look at stuff on your chart related to like career. And then I also like, if you're curious about relationship or anything else, but I know that was sort of like your interest and your focus. And I think when I
Mhm.
looked at the transits, I noticed that was kind of prominent for you. Um, so, Angela, you've learned a little bit about your chart with me and like things that
Yeah.
we talked about. So I know like you're familiar with your big three,
Mhm.
and like some of your placements, but like we never got really deep and talked about like, what are some of like the oppositions and the squares, and like, for the future we'll do that. Because some people like that's kind of like more like deeper astrology, because there's a lot to learn with just like, okay, what are all of my like planets and their houses and their zodiacs, what in the heck do all these houses mean, and like what is Neptune, like there's just a lot of stuff to know. And I feel like it's like a person has to really, if they get really serious about astrology, I feel like you have to commit time to learning it. So even if like I was to teach you a bunch of stuff, like people themselves need to like also like learn it and get interested, and have a better understanding of it. um but yeah, let's talk. So you're curious about like stuff on your chart related to
Mhm.
work, right? Do you
Yeah.
remember on there what like anything that like strikes you from like things we've talked about before?
I think we were talking about, like kind of going for it and seizing my opportunities and like being in the place where I can make things happen, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, well, you have a lot of creative energy. So, like, the way that this little restream is, we're kind of covering up the fifth house, but you have the North Node, and I could see the North Node in the fifth house, and I think there's like one or two other planets. I can't tell for. I think Mercury's there too. So fifth house energy it's the Leo house, so it's like a lot of creativity. And a lot of leadership. So I remember like one of the very first times I looked at your chart, I was like, wow, she's got a lot of energy in the fifth house. Like she needs to do
Mhm.
creative endeavors. And if she's not doing something creative in her work, she's not going to be happy. And I think I remember telling you that, because not every, I like my fifth house is empty, for example. So it might not be the biggest draw for me, but like for you, you want things to be fun, like you want things to
Mhm.
be creative. Your North Node sole purpose is in that fifth house, and that's literally what you're supposed to be doing in this lifetime. So I think that's, an important thing to look at. And like, I know when we talked about what you're doing in your, like your main job right now,
Mhm.
it's not always the most creative endeavor for you, right?
It's not, but what's funny is it's getting there. Kind of out of like this weird stagnation we were in comes this opportunity to grow and change and build something new in my department. So it's like I said, it's changing. So I didn't want to say too much in advance. I wanted to see like what lines up in the chart, but it is becoming a little. But at the same time, as it becomes creative, it becomes challenging. So
Okay, interesting. Okay. So that, and I think also with you doing side hustles, 'cause I think you told me you were always in the energy of like, finding different opportunities for yourself, and like, finding a different way to make money. Well, that's like a whole creative thing. Being an entrepreneur is a whole creative, experience, so even if you're not doing that fully in your main job, if you find like a side hustle or like, volunteer project or something where you can be like that leadership part and also creative, I think you do well with that. So that's one thing with career. Also, when I look at like your 10th house, because your 10th house is the house, it literally is like, it's the Capricorn house of career and like public, being seen publicly. And just like me, you also share Jupiter in the 10th house. Jupiter's the planet that like amplifies everything. Whichever house a person has Jupiter in, you have like all this like abundant, optimistic energy, and you have Jupiter there. So no matter what, you cannot escape it. You constantly are going to be focused on career. It's going to be prominent for you. That's not to say that like other things in your life are not important, but like there's always going to be this bigger draw to like, what am I doing with myself? Is this career fulfilling for me? Am I helping people? Like, am I being seen? Because Jupiter, that 10th house, is like how you're seen by the world. And you're pretty extrovert as a person. You know, you're not like the person who wants to necessarily sit in a cubicle. Like, you want to like, you know, be out there, and you are in a leadership role. And now that you're doing cards for people, like you're out there, right? You're putting yourself out there, and you're you know, working with different people. So yeah, I think that Jupiter is prominent. And in terms of your transits right now, so like if you look at the stuff in green that's on the outer part of the wheel, that's all the planets and where they're in like real time moving for you. And so you have Neptune there, you have the North Node, and you have Chiron. So that's 3 planets. And technically North Node is not exactly a planet, but I think it's powerful enough. I kind of think of it like one. So let's call it 3 planetary like energies that are in your house of career. And they have been for a little while, because I know we've talked about it. So to me, that's saying like, this is your time to really like think about career in your life. Like Neptune is like this, like, you know, dreaming big energy, and it's this connection to spirituality, and you're literally doing that in this, you know, side hustle. You know, this is like connecting to spirit guides and angels and helping people solve their problems. You're literally doing that. The North Node soul purpose is passing through your 10th house, which is this house of career. So it's having you think about, is what I'm doing fulfilling for me? And if not, how can I change it? And then Chiron is emotional wounding. So to me, that's kind of like, do you have any wounding around anything that's happened to you professionally, like in past jobs, you know, past situations? It could be past lives too. Like that's a whole new thing, because Chiron can be that too. So it's kind of like, that's intensive stuff. And Neptune can also, like the road, like the low road of Neptune can kind of be like, it could get into delusions, it could get into addictions and obsessions and all of that if we're not careful. So it's kind of like keeping that like energy in check, and using like, you know, the good part about dreaming big and what do I really want to accomplish, and all of that. And maybe like helping people who have addictions, helping people who are really struggling, especially like that Chiron and Neptune, like that could be, you know, coming up in your tarot readings. You know, people don't come for a tarot reading because everything is great in their life, you know. That's the fact. So as you hear that about like your 10th house natally and these transits that are going through, what do you think about that? Like, what comes up for you as you hear it?
So honestly, Nellie, I'll tell you a little story. Like probably at the end of 2022 ish, like I was at like an all-time career low. Like I couldn't have gotten like any lower. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know what I wanted to do. There was other things in my life that were like keeping me stuck. And I was really like dealing with the fact that like I was so just disenamored with where I was, that like I was literally close to losing everything. So to say that, you know, you just kind of said like there's like a past of like something there. But yeah, like 2 years ago, probably at this point, like I was just at like this career low. And like good, bad, or whatnot, like my choice was to like work hard and fight, or just like kind of give up and concede and figure out like, you know, what I was going to next. And I chose to work hard and fight, which got me to where I was today. And, you know, while I was fighting for career, I was fighting for other things in my life. But the one thing I've always been drawn to is, and it's not, I'm not saying this because it's like what everyone's like trendy and into right now, but it's like mental health, and how do I work with people to support their mental health, and like not, readings and cards and spirituality doesn't fix things, but it gives you a perspective on things that allows you to look at things in a different way and, attack your challenges and move on. And that's what I've always been drawn to. So, when the time is right, I would love to take my work, into a more mental health direction. So that's funny, like everything that you said, how it just kind of tracks with, what in my mind I've been thinking I want to do moving forward.
Right. And you know what? It's also an Aries. Your 10th house is in Aries, which is like all that action. It's like initiating. It's starting new projects, new things, being the trailblazer, being the first one on the scene. So like you're driven that way. And then also like your 12th house, which is like the house of the subconscious. It's also mental health, spirituality, occult, all that kind of thing. You have Mars there, which is Aries energy. So it's like a lot of like kind of action to like, I see it as like helping people who are struggling, because it could be people who have addictions, mental health, psychiatric stuff, like all that kind of thing. So I always notice that if somebody has a placement in their 12th house, they're drawn to something related to like mental health or healing, spirituality. So like you're totally in line with this. So and also like as a nurse, I mean, you're a healer as a nurse, so it just you're going to be doing something in a different way. So instead of like healing their body like you were doing, now it's going to be more like healing their mind and their mental health, which people are realizing now is so much more important, because it wasn't, like talked about before, but now people realize that it needs to be. So yeah, it's totally fitting. And like I said, we can sit and we could talk about like different things on there. I think those are big things. I mean, your second house has Saturn there. So second house is all about like, it's your self-worth, it's your boundaries, money, possessions, wealth. And Saturn can be a tough energy, but honestly, it's a good thing there, because Saturn is like keeping you in check and making sure that like people aren't taking advantage of you, and that like you're not giving stuff away for free, and that you're being valued for your time. And so that Saturn is like a really good placement, like to take it serious and, for you. So I don't know if you've seen that, where you've had issues with people where they want to try to maneuver you for things.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, that's also very like fitting in my life, that it's sitting there now, because I've worked hard to get to the point where like I am starting to put value, whether it be like monetary or cognitive or whatever value, on who I am as a person, the work that I do, as opposed to just being that, okay, well, I'll just give this away or do this for free, or like I've worked pretty hard over the last bit of time to like realize that, I have worth, and it's okay to like want to be valued for it. So
I totally agree, because I have that come up for me too. So yeah.
It's that people pleasing, Libra that I am, that wants to be like, oh, I'll give you this because I don't want to get you mad.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like working hard to recognize that like what I offer is valuable, and it's not selfish to, to ask to like be valued or compensated for it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and that is Libra, because you're Libra sun and Libra moon. So yeah, we share that too. So cool. I just want to do like a little snippet on that. And I want to make sure that people can contact you. If somebody wants to follow you, like I know you're on Instagram. And so I thought if you could share it, so if anybody wants to like connect with you, or if they're like local to the Cleveland area, they could always see you in person for a reading if they want to do a party, or you are also doing readings online. So go ahead and share that so people know how best to get a hold of you.
Yeah. So on Instagram, my handle it's all one word. It's Tarot Power with Angie. So you can find me on Instagram. That's also my Gmail address. It's Tarot Power with Angie at Gmail. You can shoot me a Gmail. Or, you can always reach out to Nellie. She can get you in contact with me. I love I love doing the big group event readings. But even like at the last couple I did, there's a couple people I've been like, hey, like I would love to dive deeper with you. And I think that's what I like the most. So I'll share my handles with Nellie too, and she can share them on her page. But yeah, come and find me. I'm happy and thrilled to do whatever I can.
It's awesome. And I'm so excited for you to do this. So yeah, we'll share on the page too for people to be able to contact you. And you're a North Node journeyist. You're also in the women's group, and this was shared in both. So people can find you there as well. And you're on Facebook. So you're there too. So awesome. So yeah, we did this, just for a little bit to just have people get to know you a little bit more. And share your wisdom. And you're right, everybody's got their own journey, and we have some tough moments, and it's realizing like, how do we regroup from it, and what do we need to do, what's our next step. And yeah, I mean, career is prominent for you, so it's like go time, right? Like this is your time, and this is especially in the whole spiritual world. So I'm excited to see all the different things that are coming up.
Thanks.
All right, well, thank you for being on. All right. Well, have a good night. Stay active on the group. And again, if you would like to get in contact with Angela, she did share her information, and we'll also share it here later too. So everybody have a nice rest of the Wednesday. Just sending everybody calming energies. Everything is going to be okay. We pulled some great cards tonight. I like the one that you had, Angela, and this is the 9 of Michael. So don't worry. Don't worry. Everything is going to be okay. You just have to trust and have faith. All right. Well, have a good night, Angela.